Hi, Darren here from UK Pro Talent Training. Today I'm just going to show you how to deal with a herringbone. Now, a herringbone on the floor is a complicated pattern, and it gets to everybody of how to set out and where to start from. So it's a bit of an awkward one to even try and explain. So I'll try my best to sort of go through and show you how to start off your herringbone so you get even cuts on either side. So I've done a couple of examples down here, and I'm going to show you a little bit closer up of this, where to start from. Now, with normal tiling patterns, what you would do, especially if it was a square pattern or a brick effect pattern, you would just center a line down the middle of the room and work either side of that, and then that guarantees you got like symmetrical cuts on either side. However, with a herringbone, if you try that method with a herringbone and you center a line down the middle and you start off one of the points from the center of the room, it unbalances the cuts on either side. So I'm going to show you like a little easier trick to get it like sort of symmetrical on either side. So let's have a better look at the diagram on the floor. Okay, so we're going to try and like look at it from this way around. So we're going to assume that this is the floor. So these are actual tiles on this floor. So these are 600 tiles. So where I've put the edge of this and the edge of this would be at the exact edge of that 600 tile and that 600 tile. So that line there, this line here, is the exact center of them two outer posts. So you can see what I've done from this one here. What I've done is I've started that tile right on that point there, and I've started the herringbone off zigzagging out that way and zigzagging out that way. And you can see from starting from that center point there that leaves a 10mm gap between that tile and that wall, and that leaves a 60mm gap from that tile to that wall. So obviously it's unbalanced. It's going to give you like a wrong look. So what we need to do is we need to create a new center line, and the new center line is going to be this one here, the one I've drawn in pen on the floor in black. And you can see how I've started this point here on this new center line here. And you can see now this gap here and this gap here is exactly the same now. So how do we find this new center line? Well, it's quite easy. And what I found is like it doesn't matter what size the tile is if you like sort of think of your third the thickness of the tile. So if that tile there is 75mm wide, which it is, a third of that would be 25mm. So what I've done there is I've come the way you're looking at this to the left 25mm there, and I've drawn a new center line all the way down there. So if that had been the top of your room and this had been where your door is, because I'd be working tiling backwards and forwards this way to get out of the exit that way. So from looking from your end that way, what I would be doing is I'd be coming the third of the tile over to that way to the left. So you can see this is the new center line sort of here. So what I've done here is I've started this sequence here of that point of that goes on this. So that's got to be at a 45-degree angle to keep all these perfectly in line. Now, how you get a 45-degree angle is you could use a protractor measurements, but we can lay a couple of tiles to get it as well. So all we need to do now is just put that point of that tile on there and just guess it at first. So we'll put it on there, and then we're going to put the next tile there, and then we're going to put the next tile there, and then the next tile there, and the next tile there. So what you should find is that point there, and that point there, and that point there should all hit straight down that line, like that. If it wasn't at 45 degrees, you'd find that point would be over here somewhere, and that point would be over there somewhere. So really, all you're going to do is just dry lay a few down here, just to show that them are perfectly on the point. And once you've got that on the point there, then you'd start your tiling off. You'd take these tiles away, and then you'd fix this tile down first, and then you'd start with this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and then come back this one, and this one. And they should all be in a perfect line. And then you would simply like sort of do your cuts as you come back. So this is a bigger tile. So this one here is the same principles. I've thirded the thickness of this tile. So whatever the third of that was from the center line, I've come over here, and that point, and that point comes down there. And again, you can see the symmetry on there. So just to explain it down here, so what we have here is we have the tile thickness is 75 millimeters wide. So what we're going to do, we're going to move the new center line a third of that 75, which would be 25. So that would come over to there. So you draw that new center line from where you're looking over to the left of the center of the room, all the way down there, get a straight line. So just measure that point there and measure that point there, get your first original center line, and just come off that parallel until you've got this one. So again, we're going to put that point on there, dry lay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure all these points are in alignment, juggle them until they are. Take these away, and then you have that one is there. So again, the original one left us with a 10 millimeter gap there and a 60 millimeter gap there. So by moving it over a third, which is 25 millimeters, that 60 would reduce down to 35, which is that, and that 10 increases to 35, which is that. So that's how you get symmetry on a herringbone, as you come down the room, starting from an off-center line to the left, facing your door. So that's the easiest way I can explain, like sort of how to do a herringbone start. You might have to watch this a couple of times just to get your head around it. But again, it's not the easiest pattern in the world, but that's how you start the centers. So hopefully you found this some interest. If you just get a couple of tiles and just dry lay them out, you'll see how coming over a third to the left. And it's exactly the same on a wall. So again, if this floor here stood upwards and it was vertical, everything would be exactly the same. So again, if it was a cooker hood, you draw your center line down the middle of the cooker hood in a kitchen, and then again you measure the thickness of the tile over to the left, a third. So this would be a new cooker center line, and again that will give you simultaneous, like sort of even cuts inside that cooker hood, or a feature wall in a shower or whatever. Center line, third of the tile over the left, new center line. Start off that point from the 45. Going to get even Stevens on either side. So hopefully that like sort of clears up how to start a herringbone off. Thanks for watching. My name's Darren from UK Pro Talent Training.